Hello everyone. If you've been using Linux for some time now, you probably heard about tiling window managers. What is a tiling window manager? Well, basically there are two main types of window managers in modern operating systems. Stacking window manager and a tiling window manager. Basically, this is how a stacking window manager works. You can drag windows around, you can make them full screen, you can do anything you want with them. And this is how a tiling window manager works. In tiling window managers, windows are placed automatically in a grid based on the free space left on the screen. In theory, tiling window managers make you more productive. They've been getting very popular, for example, on 4chan, on Reddit, on various Linux communities around the internet. There's a lot of Linux users jumping on the tiling window manager train. I've made a couple of videos about tiling window managers on this channel. However, over the last few months, I've become kind of disenchanted about the whole concept of tiling window managers. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why I stopped using them, why I don't think they increase your productivity or make you more productive. Things that I present in this video are not solid facts. They're mostly based on my experience as an ex-tiling window manager user and on experience of other users and on different stuff, but they by no means represent the absolute truth. So if you use a tiling window manager and you enjoyed, by all means do that. I mean, no offense, and the whole video is more of a food for thought kind of situation. So let's start with the advantages of tiling window managers. What I think is good about them. Well, first and foremost, they're lightweight, they don't consume a lot of resources, and they're perfect for old hardware and maybe machines that don't have a lot of resources. Second, they're very customizable. They can be tailored exactly to your taste, to your workflow. There's an endless potential for customizability in almost every tiling window manager. Third, tiling window manager setups can be very aesthetically pleasing, and a subreddit called r/UnixPorn proves that times and times again. And last but not least, they're just very interesting. It's very exciting to customize your setup, to edit the config file, to make your workflow, to make your environment exactly as you want it. I think a lot of people that just like to mess around with software and hardware can relate on that point. Despite these advantages, why did I quit using tiling window managers? Why did I switch to a desktop environment? Well, here are my reasons. First of all, in my opinion, tiling window managers take way too much time to configure. Most tiling window managers only take care of, well, managing windows, hence the name. The user is basically on his own when it comes to things like power management, volume control, brightness keys, keyboard layout, wallpaper, screen locking, drive management, and so on. Now I know it's not completely fair to compare a window manager with a full-fledged desktop environment, but the thing is there are no tiling desktop environment to speak of. So if you want to use a tiling window manager, you're basically forced to set up all this stuff yourself. Various parts of UI such as an app launcher and a panel are also usually missing from a tiling window manager, so a user has to rely on third-party apps and set them up manually as well. i3 and DWM would be two exceptions from the rule. They both have a panel built in as far as I know. The configuration of a tiling window manager usually involves editing a configuration file manually with a text editor, or even source code in case of DWM. While this makes the setup very portable in that you can just take the configuration file, put it on another machine, and you're going to get exactly the same setup. This is much more complicated than a GUI settings app, for example, the one that OpenBox has. So at the end, the user is forced to invest time into configuring his environment manually. And it doesn't stop here either, because once you configured a tiling window manager, you also have to learn how to use it. One of the most praised features of tiling window managers is so-called keyboard-centered user experience. Unlike most modern desktop environments that use mouse or touchpad to control the UI, tiling window managers rely heavily on keyboard shortcuts. The idea is pretty simple. The mouse is far from the keyboard, and to move a window or to click a button, you need to take your hand away from the keyboard, move it to the mouse, and then move back. This is very annoying, takes a lot of time, and can potentially cause wrist strain. However, even though this approach works pretty well in some cases, for example, IDEs, text editors, or terminals, in other cases, mouse is actually more convenient to use. For example, browsers, games, and other GUI apps. At the end of the day, user is forced to memorize a lot of keyboard shortcuts and doesn't even gain anything from it apart from the full sense of accomplishment, because he has to use the mouse anyway, unless of course all he uses is command line apps and text editors. Another thing I would like to mention here is that the concept of tiling window managers does not work very well with GUI apps. Every GUI app has its perfect optimal window size in which all the UI elements fit into the screen, nothing is too small or too big. Tiling window managers assign window sizes automatically based on the free space in the grid. And as a result, GUI apps end up being either too small and squashed or too stretched and big. And this of course impairs usability and aesthetics. To avoid this, you'll have to do a lot of window resizing, either manually or automatically, setting up app rules in a config file or writing a script. Manual resizing an application window every time you want to use it is tedious and requires learning more keyboard shortcuts. And writing rules for every GUI app that you use is a waste of time, which you could spend getting actual work done. At the end, you don't really save any screen real estate. You just add useless extra space inside of the windows. The concept of a keyboard-centered user experience is also, in my opinion, flawed and doesn't work very well with GUI apps. GUI apps are mostly controlled by mouse, which conflicts with the tiling window manager's keyboard-centered paradigm. Why learn keyboard shortcuts if you're going to switch the mouse all the time anyway? To avoid that, some users start looking for command line replacements for their GUI apps. So at the end, user has to learn not just one, but multiple sets of keyboard shortcuts to even profit from tiling window manager's productivity features. And with multiple keyboard-heavy apps, it is inevitable that keyboard shortcuts will overlap and you will have to spend a lot of time remapping the keys and finding the perfect combination.
Блять, хорошо, что сундуки вот эти остались наверху, заебись вообще. Да ты чё?
I will also argue that managing windows with a tiling window manager is more difficult and complicated than managing them with a stacking window manager. For instance, moving and rearranging windows is a huge pain in the ass. Most users are accustomed to using mouse for that. However, in most tiling window managers, it's impossible to rearrange or move a window using a mouse. As far as I know, in i3 it is actually possible to resize windows with mouse. However, the hitbox is so tiny, it's honestly just fast to do with a keyboard shortcut. Some UI parts, such as dialog boxes and pop-ups, also require manual intervention to be displayed properly. I mean, of course, it mostly works fine with standard Linux toolkits such as GTK or Qt. However, you can have problems with Java or even Wine. Wine is kind of a mess as well, especially for apps that require full screen. So that will once again require you to set up a lot of rules. However, to be fair, the situation has improved massively since about 2 years. So now almost every dialog box or pop-up is handled properly with i3 and BSPWM. So yeah, there's that. Another gripe that I have with tiling window managers is lack of Alt-Tab functionality or even some kind of an app overview mechanism like the one GNOME has. This is not an inherent fault of the tiling window manager concept, but still none of the tiling window managers I've used had this functionality out of the box. So maybe this is also something to work on. One more thing that I would like to mention is that sometimes you'll actually need overlapping windows. For example, if you want a pop-up terminal or if you want to watch a video. And this is something that works out of the box on stacking window managers and desktop environments. However, in a tiling window manager, once again, you will need to set it up manually. One more reason to not use a tiling window manager is that a lot of terminal applications and stacking window managers already include tiling functionality out of the box. Window snapping, for example, is present on almost all popular Linux desktop environments such as GNOME, KDE, XFCE, and it's accessible with both mouse and keyboard. Most modern terminal applications also include splits, and well, for remote sessions and TTYs, there's GNU Screen and Tmux. A lot of file managers also have splits and tabs. Nautilus has tabs, Dolphin and Thunar, I think, have splits. So to me personally, it doesn't make a lot of sense to use a standalone tiling window manager when a lot of my apps already support tiling functionality one way or another. So yeah, these are my thoughts. These are the reasons why I myself quit using a tiling window manager. Kind of ended up being a rambly video, but please do let me know what you think about the whole thing. If maybe you're not convinced, or maybe you're in the same boat as me and you don't think tiling window managers make you more productive. In any case, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.